Nikki Bedi on BBC London 94.9 in for Joe Good. And I'm delighted to say that joining me in the studio is Anita Brightley-Hodges, who is Managing Director of Family Business Place. Welcome.
Oh, it's lovely to be here, Nikki. Fantastic.
So first of all, tell me what Family Business Place is.
Okay, so Family Business Place has been in existence for about 5 years, and we are here purely to promote and support UK family firms.
And a lot of us sort of assume that as our high streets have changed, and those independent shops that were run by generation after generation of families, because they've been disappearing, that so have family businesses. But of course, family businesses aren't just shops for a start. But has there been a decline in the number of family businesses in the UK?
Well, we know that about 60% of all privately owned businesses in the UK are family run.
60%?
Absolutely. They're the backbone of the British economy, really.
That's fantastic to know. So I asked at the top of the show for anybody listening, if they are part of a family business, to give us a call and tell us their stories. And the more varied the businesses are, the better. That's even more interesting to me. I don't come from a family business. I come from a family who, you know, if your father was a doctor, you were expected to be a doctor. Yeah. But that's not the same thing. That's inheriting somebody's career choice and profession. But when you've actually got a business and you're keeping it in the family, I was always quite envious of the girls that I was at school with, and some of the boys, who had family businesses. One was a scrapyard, which I used to think was the most fantastic thing, especially as in those days there wasn't health and safety. We could all go climbing around and doing all this. So please do give us a call and share your stories. 0207 224 2000. What are the kind of things that a family business needs advice on then?
Well, there are many things that it needs advice on, and we've just conducted our very first family business report, and we polled that to 5,000 family business in the UK, and three things that came out on top of the list. The first was that succession and governance is the biggest issue, because
makes you sound like Game of Thrones.
Well, you know, it's having good management in place, because a lot of family businesses don't, because people, you know, in the family become the board, you know, and so they don't necessarily have external advisors, expertise, and so that's really, really important.
So, but does every family business need that then, or do you have to be of a certain? Do you have to have grown to a certain point?
No, I think if you're a family business and wants to grow, it's actually quite important to have people that have expertise outside of your knowledge that can help and bring something to the party and help that business.
So, when you go and advise a family business, are they the ones that find you, or do you have seminars? I mean, how does it work? If somebody's listening right now and they think, well, I'd quite like some insights into how I can be more efficient. Okay. How does it work?
We have a website called Family Business Place. We also have two conferences this year, one in Yorkshire, we're taking it to the north, as well as one in central London, which is national. So family businesses from all over the country come and speak at that conference. Our speakers are all family businesses who speak from the heart about the very issue that everyone in that audience is going to be thinking about.
And what is that issue then?
Those issues might be relationships with families.
Well, that was going to be, my interest would be, you know, when we watch soap operas or films that have family businesses, and it is all about who's going to inherit this, who's taking over as the boss, or just squabbles about how a decision should be taken. And you see, if you aren't a family member, isn't it easier? Once you're family and blood, I would imagine it's harder.
If you have something really worth holding on to, and it's your family business, then really the best way is to find a solution to keep family issues separate from business issues.
And can people do that easily?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. But it's hard. It's a discipline, because lots of decisions around the business are made at the dinner table. You know. Yeah,
and also those old family arguments that you had when you were 16 and 17 and now you're 40 can come up and plague you, can't they?
Completely. So the best place to discuss family business is in the business during the daytime, when most normal people are in their businesses. And then for family time to be for family, for the children, for family members, to have different types of conversations around different things you want to do with your life, you know.
I have an Asian background, and so Asian family businesses are very common to me, and they're generally patrilinear, although not always. And I just wonder if they would ever be seeking help from the outside, because they tend to go, this is us.
Well, the more that people can come to conferences like ours and hear family businesses that are doing it successfully, and they can talk to them and say, how do you do that? What advice did you seek? Who did you turn to? And the network's really important. And that starts also from the youngsters. So our next generation network is there for youngsters that are thinking about coming into the business or are in the family business and don't know the questions they don't know. They don't know who they can turn to about their feelings. They don't really understand the process of getting into the family business, because lots of things aren't said, you see.
So what are the sort of success stories that you can give us an example of? How have you lubricated a family that have been fighting, or advised a family business who were maybe struggling to keep it as a family business?
I think for me, and there's a saying that says you can always find a new business, but you can't find a new family. And I think that's a really sobering thought, really, that families are, that's the most important thing. And if you can hold on to that, that's really quite important. The other is communication. Lots of people find it hard to communicate with members of their family. And when there is control around the business or value around money, that even makes it, the opportunity for there to be complex issues and for conflict to arise. That's so easy, isn't it?
We have Anita Brightley-Hodges in the studio with us for a few more minutes, but we really do also want to hear from you about your family businesses. And maybe you've been struggling with the idea of how you take your business forward. Perhaps there are things that have been hiccups that you haven't been able to resolve in a business-like way. It's all been about the blood. Just share your thoughts and perhaps your fears with us. 0207 224 2000. And maybe you were the one, and nobody's pointing fingers in an angry way, who decided not to continue the family business. Tell us how that felt, because that must have been a very hard thing to do. There are families where one son or daughter is always sort of held back, aren't they, to run the family business? Do you see a lot of that?
I think there's a lot of pressure for the next generation to feel obliged to come into the business.
Yeah.
There are also family members that would like to be part of that business that don't necessarily have the right skills. And so really, like a normal business, family members should really enter into the business, applying for the post just like everybody else might do to come into a normal business. They've got the right skills, they've got the right experience, the training's in place for them, and very often a family business will fall foul of having family members that are just not up to the job.
So are there particular businesses that really are conducive to a family running them more than others?
I think many businesses are. I mean, if you think about department stores, many of the department stores in this country are family run. We don't think about that anymore, though, do we?
We just think they're massive conglomerates.
But they aren't. They're family run. If you think about the construction industry, fathers and sons.
Yeah.
Fantastic. If you think about restaurants, hotels are wonderful.
Good
family
point.
owned, lots of independent, fabulous, because it's about people, garden centres, castles, coachworks, bus stations.
Yes.
If you think about,
I live in Brentford, and I have Goddard's and Sons,
right,
and they are a removal company and
Yes.
a furniture company, and you see their blue vans everywhere. And anytime I'm waiting for a particular bus opposite where their trucks all pull in at night,
Yes.
I think, what must it feel like for that Goddard who started it? He may not even be here anymore, I don't know, but to look across and go, that's the business I've built up, passed on to my sons. I mean, that must be extraordinary.
Absolutely fantastic. If your name is above the door,
Yeah.
then it's a great feeling, isn't it?
Speaking of which, if you pop your headphones on right now, we have a call from Scott in Lambeth. Hello, Scott.
Hello, guys. How are we doing?
I'm very well. And you must also meet Anita, who's in the studio with me.
Hello, Scott.
Hi, Anita. You okay?
Yes, fine.
So, Scott, tell me, you are part of a family business. How does yours work, and what sort of business is it?
Well, we're a business. We're plumbers. We're Pimlico plumbers, and we've been established since 1979. And we're very much sort of a very hands-on family business. I mean, my father started the company, and then there's myself, my brother, my younger brother's involved, 2 brother-in-laws, 2 sisters, and my son and my brother's son. So we're pretty much full on it. And, you know, we've got over 200 people working for us, and we wouldn't have it any other way other than the family. I mean, you trust your family, and it was brilliant for us.
So have there ever been, Scott, times where, as a family business, you've struggled or you've had to overcome something? And if there have been, tell us how you've done it.
Well, we've had tough times. I mean, I remember in the 80s, you know, it was difficult, and we had to cut our cloth accordingly. But I think the thing with a family-run business is you've got each other's backs. And you've got that personal touch, you know. You treat it. It's so important. You want it to be the best. You're all sort of drinking out the same teapot. So for us, is you know, when you've got your family members around you, you all seem to push that little bit more together. You know, so you know, we've had tough times, but we've come through well.
Now, have you got children, Scott?
I have, yes.
So,
I've got a son of 18 who's an apprentice plumber, just passed.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Whether your children too are therefore carrying on that tradition.
They certainly are. Well, my son's already sort of, you know, he's been doing it for 2 years now, and he's just passed his plum. He's got another couple of years to go, but he's out on the field. And then my young daughter finishes school in May, and she'll be coming into the office. But she's been they've been wrapped around it all their life, you know.
And Anita is just like looking at me with this big beaming smile on her face. and I think part of it is that she loves hearing a family talk like this. But I think she's familiar with your business too.
Oh, that's great. Well, have you used us, Anita, or you know of us?
Well, I know your dad really well, Charlie. Fantastic.
Yes,
he's obviously been a past award winner at the Red Ribbon Awards. And also, I remember him saying out loud, if I'd have known how fantastic my family were at doing things, I would have employed a lot of them much earlier than now, because he really believes that family and family business are really important.
Oh, well, that's nice to hear, Neil. I mean, being my father, he's been, you know, I would say as strict. I've known no other boss. I've only known it as my dad. But he's, you know, all his morals he's passed down to us has been absolutely superb. And for me, I mean, you know, I can't emphasise it enough. We wouldn't have it any other way. And when we bring a member of staff on board, you know, we try to make them feel that part of the family, because I think if you can make people want to come to work, enjoy what they're doing. I mean, we've done and I don't know if you know. At first, when my dad done it, we done a thing where we got a masseur in on a Friday. You know, they're doing these things where they come in.
You get a masseur on a Friday?
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
To do what? For your poor shoulders and body that's been screwed up under a sink for 5 hours?
Nikki, what you're saying is exactly what I said to my dad. A masseur, what are you going on about? And he said to me, Scott, trust me, it'll make people want to come to it. And I just thought, you know, you've had some great ideas, Dad, but I ain't too sure on this one. And I'm telling you now, honestly, people like to have a Friday off for work, Nikki, and now people are coming in even more on a Friday for the masseur.
See, I think that's fantastic. Scott, what a gorgeous story. But the other thing that I would say is that as somebody who needs a plumber, I would really want to call up somebody who has a family history of being plumbers, where I know it's all one big family, all working together. I would feel like I could trust them.
Yeah, well, I think you're totally right on that. I mean, I think it's absolutely right. I mean, you know, our morals are is we look at things. We want to be the best in the business, and we want to be different to every other plumbing company. We want to turn up on time. We want to be smart and tidy.
Yeah.
We're transparent with our charges, and the main thing is we make sure we get the job done for you, and we want you to be with us forever. You know, that's our policy. That's how we look at things, and we do that right across the board.
Well,
from me to everyone.
From strength to strength may you go, Scott, and all your family, and have a lovely Friday, because that's obviously what you're most looking forward to.
I am already. Thanks a lot.
Take care. Scott in Lambeth there. We're taking your calls on family businesses, and whether you are part of a successful family business, maybe you're just going into business and you're thinking ahead as to whether your family will take this on generation by generation. Maybe you've not had such a good experience in a family business. Give us a call, 0207 224 2000. John in Mill Hill is here to tell us all about his family business, which is photography. Am I right, John?
That's right. Good afternoon, both.
Good afternoon to you too. So, how big is the business?
Reasonably big. I mean, I used to have premises in Clerkenwell where I employed a few people, but as everything went digital, I realised that wasn't necessary. And when the youngest of our children, to be in Clerkenwell, that is, not to employ people.
Yeah.
And when the youngest of our children went to school and someone was just leaving, who looked after the phones and everything, my wife took over that side. And I have an assistant, and I employ a couple of freelancers. But I've got a large family, one left home, 5 still at home, so 6 children in total. But the only one that's showing any interest is my 14-year-old daughter. I think it's good that it's she, because I think there's not enough women in photography. It'd be a better profession if there was.
Oh, why would it be a better profession if there was? I mean, apart from the fact I want to see women everywhere, but why do you say that?
Well, I just think that women have a distinct advantage, particularly over young men. I think maybe less so as we get older, but I think dealing with middle-aged businessmen is often the case. They're less likely to be rude or abrupt or try and hurry a young woman on, I would have thought, than a young man, and probably be a little bit more obliging, because it can be quite sort of cutthroat, and you're only as good as your last job, as they say. But I do think the government miss a trick. I think there's a lot of family businesses where they could mentor a young person out there, and with a little injection from the government to them, that is, not to the business, to allow them to do it, almost like an apprenticeship, because I think that a lot of small businesses aren't really taken as seriously as when you have some government spokesman on, or minister, when they talk about small businesses, they're talking about something like Pimlico Plumbing or something, which is going back to your previous call, which is a heck of a lot larger than the majority. But
listening to Scott then, he'd said, that he started working the business at the age of 8, sowing the seed for the future. Do you think you need to try and encourage children and other family members at a very early age? What do you think, John? Then I'm going to ask Alex.
Well,
Anita.
I never stop encouraging, actually. I've got my youngest brother, who's a keen amateur photographer now, and has had published work and everything else. I'm hoping that I can get him away from fixing fire engines to photography. I have a nephew who's studying photography now, and my 14-year-old daughter wants to go and study photography to get some formal qualifications. And I'm hoping that she'll join me, but she finds, I think her eye is on a more glamorous side of the industry in fashion.
Well, good for her.
It is good, but it's very tough. I think a lot of young people, and this probably doesn't just apply to photography, but many things, will turn their nose up at what we'll see in the mundane. But it's not mundane. It's still good fun.
There has to be a place for everyone, doesn't there? Yeah. I actively encourage your daughter to pursue the glamorous side. And John, thank you so much for calling. John in Mill Hill. And in an age of Instagram, how wonderful that everybody would still want to go and do a course and do that. Anita, just let me come back to that question. Do you believe that you have to encourage people at an early age? Does it need to be instilled?
There are two things, really. One is it's really important that youngsters get a feel for that family business. As they grow up, they can come in during their holidays, a Saturday job, just being around the family and seeing the products and services that family offer. On the other side, though, I think what's really important, and a lot of family businesses would advocate this, is to get your children to go and see the world, go and work in another family business, go and get your experience in other business, then come back later with all that great stuff. And you can bring that outside perspective to really make that business thrive for the next generation.
Anita Brightley-Hodges, thank you so much for your time and expertise today. And thanks also for getting people calling in already. We'll do another half hour of this, I've no doubt. If you want more information about Anita's business, it's allthews.familybusinessplace.com. Thank you so much for your time.